All right, welcome to Talking Ball with Bill Flowers. I'm your host, Stephen Willis. Thank you very much for joining us. I do want to remind you again, you can catch us on Twitter at the Stephen Willis or at Old Positively on Facebook at facebook.com/Pomcast, on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. Subscribe and hit the bell. You'll not only know that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about, and we're on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss. Bill, we got a little bit of game this weekend. We're going to start off and jump right into it. What are the one or two things you're most looking forward to about this game?
I'm looking forward to seeing Ole Miss be able to handle their business on offense. I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most, is seeing us establish the run, break the will of Alabama's defense early on. I think we have the ability to do that. Um, I'm also excited to see our players show up with a sense of confidence that Alabama looks at and realizes, man, this team is not the team that I want to see come in the ring. They're hungry, they're confident, they're excited, and they're ready to just trade blows. And I think we're going to see that early. I am concerned. I've never liked coming off weeks. Ole Miss does not um, uh, have great success coming off weeks, a la 2003 LSU. You get in a great groove, and then you take an off week. That's an issue that I have. The thing that makes Ole Miss a little bit less vulnerable this time is that you have a great run game that you can establish early, but you still are predicated on nice and smooth and getting and creating a rhythm. So that's what I want to see. I want to see the confidence. I want to see Ole Miss come in and just really bring an explosive offense straight to them and create some defensive pressure that they just weren't expected to see.
Yeah, and we're going to go back in time here for a little bit. 2003, what was the point that you realized, hey, we got something really special cooking here?
So this is a really good point. This is something that's a little common with this team, that you had a lot of older players. We if you were to go back and look at our practices and how we practiced and how we functioned as a team, it was pretty brutal for that 2000, 2001, 2002. That 2003 team, we were much more mature. Uh, our practices weren't as nearly as long because Cutcliffe knew these guys know what they're doing. They know how to play. They're efficient in what they're doing. And we want to get the maximum out of them. We do not have to teach effort. We do not have to teach uh, any of the things that you're trying to instill in young teams. So I think that's a very common thing that this team has, that we have so many returning starters. But that was something that was special. You had a lot of players that were older, uh, who played with each other for a long period of time. We knew the offense really well, and defensively, we again those guys knew each other. They had played. So I think this is a common thing that you have with Ole Miss now and last year is that this is just an older team, and they're being, and you can tell that they're more focused. And we were such a focused team because of our maturity and because of us playing and having a coach that allowed us to be responsible.
Yeah, and looking back on it, you guys really jumped on. I think Patrick Willis set the tone on the kickoff return when y'all played Alabama and Oxford in
Yeah.
2003, early in the season. Do you think this is prime for a little bit of jump on Alabama moment, or would you rather, instead of trying to hold on, you'd like to see momentum build over the course of the game?
No. So one of the key things for me that I think is really important for Ole Miss to do is to break the will of Alabama and embarrass them in their home stadium. Uh, if you were to have put Alabama in their home stadium and put as many yards as we did last year on them, it's a little humiliating. And Alabama's not used to that. Alabama is, you're going to have, I mean, just the chatter that I'm hearing in Alabama is that they're not happy with their defensive coordinator. They're already, I mean, if you were to choose the two worst teams you could possibly be head coach for, is Auburn and Alabama. Why? Because if you don't win and you're not dominating, you're you're in trouble. And so what I want to see is I want to see Ole Miss absolutely off the bat, the first time that they can can put as much pressure on Alabama, they need to. They need to bring as much pressure as they possibly can on defense. Listen, I would rather die by the big game of Alabama's offense than to be sit there and get dinked and dunked and keep them on the field and not allowing our offense to be on the field. I think that our defense has the ability to create some pressure, to create big plays, to allow Young, who's a young player in reality, to make some mistakes, put him in situations where he's not comfortable, and make those players feel like they're where they haven't been before, especially in their home field. They were down, they were getting beat in a situation where they didn't want to be at Florida away. It's a difference when it's in your own home. I mean, you are the king. You're the king of the castle. Everybody's expecting you to beat Ole Miss by at least 15 points. So you get punched in the face. The fight gets brought to you. It's a little bit different for a team like this because they're not used to that. So I want as much excitement, as much speed as we possibly can in the beginning.
Yeah, this is something I was thinking about this over the course of the weekend. Most every game against Alabama in recent years is like Rocky fighting the Russian. Every year is like Rocky fighting the Russian. If you get him, it's going to be a monumental upset. But this year, it feels like we're fighting the Russian after he has been cut. It feels like we're in position to where we have that little bit of confidence going on and what can happen. He's not a machine. He's human. Let's go take care of business. Pants one leg at a time. Whatever cliche you want to use, that level of confidence is what we're taking to Bryant Denny.
No, 100%. I think this is a different scenario than in the past. Like I said last week, I think that the mentality has been with Alabama the way they've been the last decade is that we play you 1 out of 10 times. We'll win 1 out of 10 times. Now I think the the mindset's changed. We know what we can do. Those players know exactly how to operate. They've been the distance with the Russian, so to speak, and they know they can win. And so you take this year, Alabama right now, they're I was looking at, was it Pro Football Focus? I think they said that they're ranked 70th in in uh, in run blocking and 74th in pass blocking. So Young has gotten hurried more than he likes, but he's so efficient that he just hasn't been sacked as much as he's they can't establish that short little game. So you're seeing those holes in their game. You're seeing it, and they know it. So you've got Ole Miss exactly where you'd want them for a team that's built to beat a team like Alabama. So I don't see it so much as, man, this is a major underdog facing this giant. I think it's Rocky going, I know I'm going to come in there and I'm going to give you everything you've got and I'm going to win. I don't think Ole Miss is at a point where they're thinking, I think we can win. Their mindset is, I know we can win. It's just, can our defense hold up and keep them below, 31, 38 points?
Yeah, people have talked to me over the course of the week is like, what do you expect to happen in this game? And I was like, listen, the outcome of the game is in doubt. That's not normally the case when Alabama plays. The outcome of the game is in doubt. And we've earned the right to go over there and find out if we have what it takes to take it from them. This is not a situation where we're wanting Alabama to play down. This is not a situation where we're hoping for a sloppy game. This is give us your best shot. We're going to see where we are.
The big question, I think everybody would say this, in the beginning of the year, they weren't really concerned with the offense. They were thinking, okay, without Elijah Moore, how efficient can Corral be? Not only has he been efficient, he's been more efficient because now he has more tools. That's scary. Um, the question is, how's the D going to react from last year? So far, they've come out and they've proven that they are substantially better than last year. The key to this game, the key to the win, the whether Ole Miss wins or lose, is going to be predicated on their defense. Can they get pressure? Can they do the things that Alabama is not expecting them to do on defense? That's it. Corral's going to, the offense is going to take care of the business. It's going to be the defense. So that 100% is going to be the outcome of our wins or losses on Saturday. Is how our defense plays.
Yeah, there's two keys to where this could get away from Ole Miss a little bit. I don't think they need to kick off to Javonte Williams at Alabama. This game has turned so many times on a special teams play. Something weird's happened to give them a little bit of boost. 2016, we would have beat them 3 years in a row, but right before half they had that punt return. So I wouldn't kick it to Javonte Williams. And I also think Alabama's going to try and bully ball us a little bit. They're going to get up and try and recreate 2011 with Trent Richardson and those guys in the backfield because they know we have a three-man front with two defensive ends. Can they run the ball? And if they can't run the ball on us, Alabama might be in a little bit of trouble.
Well, and I think so. When I say bring pressure, you've got to bring pressure from backers and the edges by creating that wall. I mean, yes, you've got only 3 down linemen, but you're going to have to bring some stunts. You're going to have to bring some pressure to where even if they try to run the ball against a 3-man front, it's really not a 3-man front. You're bringing other guys down. I mean, Georgia right now seems to have, an impenetrable wall. Florida showed that, listen, Alabama rushed for less than 100 yards. So to me, I think that what Alabama is going to try to do is they're going to try to establish the pass. I don't think they're going to try to establish the run. I mean, you're dropping 8, and if that's what you do, and you can break it. I mean, if we drop 8 and don't bring pressure, don't bring linebackers up, don't stunt, don't do things, then yes, they're going to be able to run on us. They're going to be able to do that. But I don't think Alabama is hanging their hat on breaking Ole Miss down by establishing the run. I think it's going to be through the air. That's what they're going to try to do, and that's why you're going to have to bring pressure. That you're going to have to bring people to, 1, create that wall at the line of scrimmage, and 2, when you are dropping that many people, you're bringing somebody else coming through and trying to push Young and get him in uncomfortable situations where you're forcing him to run, which he doesn't want to do. And that's what's scaring me because he can run. He hasn't done it yet this year. And if he does do it, you better have some of those corners coming up and making him not want to run again. So I think if they're going to run, it's going to be they haven't done it this year. They haven't not had the play action run. They haven't established the run yet. So unless Ole Miss has just completely camouflaged because of the lack of teams we've played, you look at FSU and you say, well, Notre Dame was good. Well, no, not really. I mean, so Alabama is going to be our first real test. And so if we can keep them from running the ball, which hopefully we can, they have not proven this year that they can establish that run game like they want to.
Yeah, it's been tough for them this season going through. And, if you look at it like Louisville, I put Louisville over Miami. They're ahead of Miami if you look at them statistically. I put Tulane over Southern Miss, and I put Austin Peay over Mercer. So those 3 games, we actually had a better litmus test than Alabama did. Now, Alabama has Florida, but they struggled against the Gators and left that game. They were really tired. And if there was 5 minutes left to go in that game, they would have lost it. And that gives me hope going into Bryant-Denny. Now, there's 4 and 5 stars everywhere, and Alabama's going to be very talented, and that needs to be expected. Now, whenever we're saying whatever we're saying, we're not denigrating Alabama. We're actually lifting up Ole Miss. Alabama has 4 and 5 star players, and they're going to be fine. They might be young. They're going to be fine, and we can get them. But I don't think it's an air of overconfidence of us talking like that. I think there's a respect that we're giving to Alabama but an admission that we're kind of taking a next step.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is that Alabama, just because you don't have maybe 4 first round draft picks this year, doesn't mean you're not the number one team in the country. Right
Mm.
now, they are the number one team in the country. What I'm saying is that Ole Miss has an offense that is elite, that can do so many different things, that can put them in positions where they don't want to be in. You can press them. It's not saying that the Russian's bad. It's just saying that your boxer has the ability to do things to bring the pain in ways that they're not used to. You put them in that speed, that fastball offense, and you keep their defensive line on there, and you don't allow them to substitute, and you put them in positions where, hold on, we're we're 14 points down. We're in our home stadium. Everybody said Ole Miss is good. We're supposed to win by 15 points. We've never really had a press before. That's what you're saying, is that Ole Miss has the ability to do those things. And Alabama is the best team in the country right now. And until you beat them, they are. But Ole Miss is built in a way where, Alabama can continually build on what they're doing. They continually have corrals. They can continually have Drummonds and all that. I mean, it's just the rich get richer. So right now they're just, I mean, Kiffin is obviously, trying to feed rat poison to his team, to Alabama, and telling them that they're one of the best teams to ever be assembled. He knows they're not, and
Yeah.
he's like, listen, if you don't beat Ole Miss, you're terrible. Like, how could you not beat Ole Miss? You've got the 5-star recruits. You go out in free agency and you get the best players. Hey, if you don't, just remember you are losing. So he's just trying to force them to press as much as they can. I mean, so I think, again, when you are an Ole Miss and you have a situation where what you can do offensively, it's just defensively. Can you keep them where you think you can keep them? And if you do, I am telling you right now, if Ole Miss can offensively do what they want to do and puts Alabama in a situation where they've never been before offensively, and they're getting pressed, they're making mistakes. I'm telling you, Ole Miss can put more points on them than, and it can be, unless you've been there, unless you know how to crawl out of a hole like that, it's difficult. So I think that's one of the things that I'm hoping, is that Ole Miss can put it on quickly, can put them in the sense of, we're in our own home, we should be beating Ole Miss, we're not. Let's press. Let's make, and you get a young who's a young who's he look listen. He's probably, behind Corral. You look at him. He is an amazing quarterback. The ability to process and the ability to make the throws. That's why they're winning, because of him. He's not having to run. He's not having to take what the defense gives him, because he's so good at what he's doing. But you put him in a situation where he's not been yet, where he's getting punched in the mouth and having to run for his life, which I don't know if we're going to be able to do. But I'm not so sure how much Florida dropped 8. But I know it's a little concerning for Saban, that if what happens to Young, what happened to Corral last year against Arkansas, the first time he saw a drop 8, this could be a situation where you have a young quarterback pressing and making mistakes. And if you don't have the ground game going, and you have a team like Ole Miss who can put up a lot of points on you, you can't try to slow him down and try to calm him down by establishing the run. I mean, if you can't establish the run, then you're going to have to do it. And if you can drop and get pressure, there's all those things where you have the making of opportunity to really do what you want to do. In the past, Ole Miss has not been able to, across the board, hold their own. Offensively, last year they did. Defensively, they did not. This year's defense looks a lot different. And if they can hold them to 35 points, to less than 41 points, I think Ole Miss has got a great chance of winning really well, of winning big, if they defense plays well.
Yeah, it sounds like with what you're saying, an ideal situation is Ole Miss gets the ball, goes scores, breaks serve Alabama, gets the ball back, goes score again. It's 14-0 at the beginning of the game, and all of a sudden it could snowball on them a little bit.
Yeah, I think that uh, what I'm hoping also is that Kiffin has been holding some tight end play. I think that's uh, Florida. I think the tight end is where they're vulnerable. Um, and so I would like to see Alabama get punched in the mouth. Listen, Ole Miss is expected to have a track meet. They're expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama is somewhat expecting that. What Alabama's not expecting is that Ole Miss's defense creates turnovers and they're going to be in a hole. If that's the case, I'm telling you right now, it's like so. For example, did you watch the 400-meter hurdles in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Okay, so what the guy who won, what he said was, when I got in the blocks, I knew that I could beat those guys. I knew I could, but I was willing to die for it. He went out and damn near sprinted the entire race as fast as he could. He said, "I wanted to come out of the starting blocks so fast that it caused my competitors to do things that they did not want to do. I want to push them faster out of than they've ever been pushed before so that they have to do things differently." And that's exactly what happened. And I mean, he shattered the world record. The guy who came in second broke the world record. They both get, but I think that's what Ole Miss can do. Ole Miss can force Alabama to have to do things that they don't want to do. And when that happens with a young quarterback and a team that's not used to having to come from behind, they can press, they can cause problems. You know what Ole Miss can do offensively. Again, it's defensively. Can you do those things? And that's exactly what our whole mind focus was against Florida when Tebow came. Listen, offensively, you know that you can play with Florida. Defensively, can you do what you're supposed to do? Create the line and bring pressure from the edge and keep them in the pocket and do that. And that's what happens. I mean, it's 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 going to be the defensive schemes creating enough complex looks, creating a lot of things that are going to put Young in a difficult situation. It's going to be about pressure. If we can't put pressure on Young, it could get ugly if Ole Miss does not put 60 points in the game. But I mean, it's it's going to be all about the defense being able to bring pressure with dropping those 8 guys, but bringing some exotic looks, bringing some stunts. It's that's what it's going to come down to, in my opinion.
Yeah. And what are 2 or 3 players that you're looking forward to? We need a big performance out of, in your opinion.
Well, the first, I mean, like, again, offensively, I think you're going to have to. I would love to see an emergence of a tight end, like like Drummond. I would love to see them do some exotic things like Drummond. Maybe using him as a tight end in a way, and bringing and using some of the other guys that we have. Um, so Drummond from a tight end position, or the emergence of somebody that's wow, we didn't know we had that. Um, I want to see Corral just play play his game. Take what the defense gives you, and if you've got to run, you run. If you got to, if you're going to make a pass, make a pass. Um, remember how I've kind of been concerned all year so
Mm-hmm.
far about we haven't faced athletic linebackers who are athletic enough to where you do the um your fake, and you read. You've got your RPO. You take that quick slant, that can get picked real easily if you don't create those linebackers to come down and to establish that run. So I would say Ely creating the run, Matt Corral with taking what the defense gives him, and a tight end. I think the tight end or Drummond. I think those are going to be. That's what I would like to see, because that's going to put a lot of pressure on them. Defensively, obviously, you're going to have to see, Williams come, he's got, what is it, 4 sacks this year so far. Again, against the competition we played, okay, let's see what he can do against Alabama. And Campbell, I mean, what an exciting, he has been such a leader on that defense. And so I want to see him make sure that our guys are in the right position, bringing pressure. So I think those are offensively, uh, those are what I want to see. The middle of the field being uh, um, attacked, because it's going to keep those linebackers in. It's going to allow you to do what you do from your RPO, and I want to see our defense being able to put pressure on Young, keeping him from just being able to sit back and drop back and throw wherever he wants to throw.
Yeah, I think that we need to, for lack of a better term, pick on Alabama's linebackers and specifically routes behind them, either with the tight end or whoever's playing in the slot. When the safety comes down, that's going to open up Jonathan and Braylon behind them. Make that safety have to come up and think about that space, which is going to make a true one-on-one down the field.
100%. And one of the things that when you play Alabama, you have to respect their corners. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have probably the best defensive back coach to ever coach the game, who is the best head coach to ever coach college football. So Alabama's outside corners, I mean, they have I mean, the last few years, there's as many number one draft pick quarterbacks as cornerbacks that they push out. So I think, to your point, you can't just say, okay, well, I've got DK Metcalf and I can go straight down the field, and we got AJ Brown, and who we can do, these, like you had 2 all-pro receivers, and you still had a really hard. They ran us out of Oxford. So to your point, you're going to have to rely on taking your scheme and really pressing them and focusing on using all the different talents you've got and mismatches, and really allowing Corral to be able to do what he wants to do by putting pressure, keeping those safeties in, not allowing over the top help on Sanders, and Kiffin is a genius when creating these mashups, and that's what's going to be interesting about Ely. What does he have in store? Is he going to put? We haven't seen Ely in some exotic positions yet. We have not seen him being rolled out and put into the slot position, and then having Snoop Connor in the backfield as our running back. That's something that I'm interested in seeing, about doing an RPO with Snoop, because Snoop's your pounder. So I think there's going to be a lot of things that we haven't seen yet, and I think it's going to be really exciting to see some of the things we haven't seen yet, because you already have a Ferrari on the field. And I think you're just going to have some more exotic looks that are going to be, and I think Saban knows that. And I think, I don't think Saban knows that. Saban knows it. That obviously, Kiffin's not holding all of his cards out on the table yet. So it's going to be interesting to see that offensively.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game, and I think 2:30 or CBS Central Time, 3:30 Eastern on CBS. You can tune in and catch that game. Bill Flowers here for Talking Ball. Thank you, Bill, very much. I think we're going to call it there, and then we'll come back next week and talk all about the Alabama game and get ready for Arkansas, because if Ole Miss does well Saturday, you still have Arkansas coming in the next week. So it looks like it could be a pretty interesting thing.
Yeah, I think if I had to say who right now, if I was outside looking in, let's just put Alabama to the side. The 2 teams that are most improved, that are probably the most dangerous teams you don't want to see right now, is Arkansas and Ole Miss, because of what they can do. Now, it's with Arkansas's quarterback going down. Will he come back? But man, that you play Alabama and you beat them. I mean, and then you come back and play Arkansas. I mean, again, those. You talk about the SEC as a gauntlet, but the SEC West, jeez Louise, that's a scary thing to look down the barrel of.
Yeah, it's something else. But anyway, thank you very much, Bill. We will stop it there. And just for everybody that's out there, hotty toddy.
Probably Toddy.